Hi, I'm Rigel Cable, Director of Analytics and SEO from Astound Commerce, and I'm so excited to speak at State of Search this year. Today, I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes that I see being made with e-commerce brands in terms of SEO. And just to give a bit of an agenda, I'm going to do some introductions, go through those 5 examples in detail, and then at the end, talk a bit about SEO and e-commerce in general. So in terms of introductions, I'm Rigel Cable. I'm Director of Analytics and SEO at Astound Commerce. And online, I'm also known as Rigel Gemini. I'm an influencer on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So I think in general, I use a data-driven perspective and am focused on growth marketing. In terms of e-commerce, Astound is focused on commerce. It's at the heart of everything that we do. It's the reason that we're here. We're a Salesforce partner. We work with many different platforms. So from an SEO perspective, we are very e-commerce platform focused. And I think that brings a unique perspective to SEO strategy. Our team is data-driven strategy, drives data-driven strategy and insights for supercharged performance and optimal experience. And in terms of clients, our team directly has worked with a number of different clients in the last year for SEO and analytics. And it's been a great way to build cross e-commerce knowledge in terms of best practices and common mistakes. In terms of services, we do a lot of SEO and analytics around replatforms or site builds. We also do conversion rate optimization and A/B testing. And of course, we do rolling and ongoing SEO enhancement projects. So that's just a bit about what we do. In terms of the 5 mistakes and what we're talking about today, across our clients, we do see common mistakes made over and over. And so we've started to create a list of things that we often look out for when starting working with a new client. So today you'll benefit from getting some of those 5 mistake examples right now. And of course, we're here for any other services or needs that you have. The mistakes range from technical SEO to content SEO, so you'll see some different types. And mainly, check your own site and don't let your brand e-commerce site make these types of mistakes. So in terms of mistake number 1, the first mistake we see is really common: missing category content. This involves a category or department level upper funnel page that doesn't have content on it. On an e-commerce site, lack of content on parent pages or category pages is a really big missed opportunity. So what I mean by a category or department page would be if you're a large retailer, maybe you have a men's, women's, or kids department, and the men's or maybe the men's clothing section of the site or the women's accessory section of the site each have unique pages that show kind of what you're all about and the types of products you offer. But those pages also need substantial copy and are a really important place to get some SEO leverage. Also, PLP, which is product listing page, or subcategory pages, are common on e-commerce sites. These are the grid pages that you can scroll through and filter. Those pages also need content and copy. These are really importantly weighted pages in SEO. So make sure that your shop flow has information woven throughout. And in terms of planning this strategy, first we think about different types of content that we have on these types of pages. Informational content means something about information about products, technical information, descriptive information, basically pretending to be the Wikipedia on this topic. For example, men's clothing or firm mattresses. So the other types of content would be guided shopping content, which we'll talk about a bit more later, helping shoppers with purchase considerations. Comparison content, which helps users compare products or brands, tells them the pros and cons if they're considering. And then navigational content, which is more descriptive about what's contained in subpages and helps add more keyword connectivity between the links you're going to and the topic that they're about. So here's an example of an unnamed brand site. It's a major retailer with a large store footprint. You can see here they have a page that's about dining rooms. So a dining room page would be a category page, or could be even considered a subcategory page within their furniture site taxonomy. But you can see here when we're looking at the different types of products they sell, there is no copy about each of these types of products, which is a huge miss. So the recommendation would be to add copy about dining tables and dining chairs and kitchen kitchen furniture. So that there's copy associated with each of these sections. And because so many people go through this page and it's likely to show up in search results, it's going to help boost that page even further to compete with other e-commerce sites that sell dining room furniture. So that's an important fix and a good example of what we see quite often. In terms of results, what these types of optimizations help with are improved topical ranking. So seeing better ranking for dining room furniture in the example we just looked at. Better upper funnel content ranking. So if someone's searching for dining room furniture options, maybe this page would come up with the different types of dining room furniture that exist. And if you have a good description, it could be an informational page for upper funnel content. And then in general, for the results, you'll also see of integration of the copy into the shop flow, which means that when a user comes in from search, instead of landing on a blog or an orphaned page, which is often a strategy in SEO, they'll land directly in the shop flow and can proceed right into products without any need for interlinking or special custom design. The second example is limited filtered PLP crawling. This means that there are reduced search engine result page links appearing for descriptive searches. So what I mean by limited PLP crawling is that often on a PLP, a product listing page, where there are filters for things like color or size or shape or style, that type of filter often gets put into the URL as a parameter. And then the page title updates in some cases, or the page has unique products on it so that it's a unique example. So that page should actually be crawlable and able to rank in Google, so that if someone does a long-tailed search with a particular modifier for a type of product, they will actually see a page that is uniquely about that search. So you need to determine which filter categories and filter values are likely to appear in long-tail searches or are used frequently. And then for some filters, you may not want them to be crawled, or they don't need as much depth of crawling. So you'll set custom rules, and those rules will allow for important pages for modified searches to appear. And I'll show an example of that in a bit. So when you're coming up with filtered PLP crawling strategy, you want to come up with the top filtered phrases. So in your product types that you sell, what are common modifiers added to product names that would need their own search result page? And then in terms of Google Analytics or your analytics data, which filters are used the most and which ones do you know are the most popular? And then you can prioritize the filter categories from there. So filter category would be a size filter would be a category, a color filter, a price filter, another product attribute or feature type filter. Figure out what those category filters are, filter categories are that you need to plan for. Then you develop a crawl logic. So you give a definition of which filter categories should be crawled and to what depth. Then we recommend launching only one filter category to start to see how it works. And then you can expand to other filter categories. And the result is that you should get higher click-through rates on some of those longer tail searches. So here's an example of a modifier put in front of a product type. So we have laminate flooring, but we want wood laminate flooring. And what we see is that the number one result is the Home Depot page, because they have a page title, laminate wood flooring. And if you click on that page, it will only show you wood laminate flooring. And it is a filtered PLP, which shows that they've created crawling availability for some of the filter categories like material for the flooring type. So you can see the other examples there are all generic laminate flooring results. These don't have position number one ranking. And it means if someone's looking for wood flooring, they're not certain that this particular retailer carries wood laminate flooring, or they are not as compelled to click because they don't know if they're going to land on wood laminate flooring. So these are important things to consider, because if you have a large catalog with many filterable attributes, you want to plan how much Google can crawl into the depth of those filters, and so that when someone searches for something specific, there's a specific page to meet their need. So the result of some of these optimizations would be improved modified search ranking. So for wood laminate flooring, you will have a page, hopefully, that someone will land on directly for that search term. It will help you with long tail search ranking, again, with modifiers or product features that are searched for in relation to products. And it's a better user experience coming from a search engine results page, because when you land, you don't have to filter to find that product you just searched for. Instead, you'll land on a pre-filtered grid. The third mistake that we see is content related and has to do with missing guides or shopping guides. This is the most valuable upper funnel e-commerce content beyond what we just talked about already in terms of category content and filtering. So in terms of guided shopping, shoppers are often using search to research and consider different product options, which means guided shopping content is important to showcase. Guides are good for increasing ranking for phrases that have words like best or comparison or how to. You'll see if you do search research that often those types of phrases, best, comparison, or how to, have some of the highest search volume in any given product category. An important other factor for guides is that you don't make these orphan or buried pages. You don't want to just make a page that is not linked to or is buried somewhere in a blog. You want to make sure this is integrated in the shop flow and the nav, maybe even with a shopping guide section for a category dropdown. And basically, you want to come up with all the guides that you might need to build and find ways to intersperse them and weave them into your site experience. So in terms of content guides, there's obviously a limitless types of guides that you could create. So you want to come up with the guided shopping phrases that are most high volume and most relevant for you. Again, focusing on phrases like best, how to, or compare. And then you'll organize some of these searches into topic groups, because you can often address multiple keywords in these areas with just one page. So then you create a UX template where you have a guide template, usually mixing in graphics and imagery and product examples with text. You don't want to just write one dense page that no one will want to read, because UX is important, as is SEO. So you want a template that's going to work for different types of guides and look good on your site. Then you want to create your keyword targets and come up with, for each guide, what are the keywords you need to include beyond just your core phrase of best or how to or compare. What are some other keywords that you need to include for that product category? And then lastly, you want to write extensive content. This is an area where we recommend 1,500 words or more. The more length to this type of content, especially if it's informational guiding content, you want to hit an encyclopedic level of content. That's what Google ends up rewarding. So you come up with the content, you write it, and then you launch it across the site. I found an example from World Market, Cost Plus World Market. They do guides on every different type of furniture and different types of recliners in this example. Comfortable, modern recliners for small spaces. So these are pages that are just descriptive and help users understand the different factors and features and considerations for different types of products. So if someone's looking for a product, this is information about how to make a decision. So you want to organize the information into different ways of looking at the same product. So when it comes to comfortable modern recliners, what are the different types of modern recliners for small spaces? What are the different materials used? What are the different features to consider? This way you're getting many different types of keyword areas put into one page, where if someone searches what are the best modern recliners for small spaces, this page is likely to come up, and it will include many different types of keywords for other searches as well. In terms of results, this will help capture shoppers more in the research phase, the upper funnel phase. It will help you rank for high volume terms, and it will bring users into the shop flow. So the next two mistakes I've put into one section for time, but they're both technical SEO mistakes. The first one is an incomplete sitemap. And the second one is a set of microdata, open graph, and schema.org pieces that need to be included on pages through your website. So for the incomplete sitemap, this is a very common mistake we see from a technical perspective. We see that separately hosted pages are often not included in the sitemap, like a blog or a store listings page. These are often sections of sites that are hosted with a different platform or service, and therefore the auto-generated sitemap that you have may not automatically pull in these additional sitemaps. Whenever something's on the same domain, you need to have that incorporated in the same sitemap as any other page on the site. So typically this would be your .com/ and then your robust set text would link to your sitemap. So making sure that all of the different pieces of your site are in the same sitemap is very important, and sometimes that requires custom work. Another example of pages that are accidentally left out would be content pages or campaign landing pages where they aren't manually added to the sitemap directly. So generally make sure that an entire set of pages is not missing from your sitemap by auditing your sitemap directly. Other technical SEO mistakes would be missing microdata, open graph, or schema.org. We know about things like page titles, H1s, URLs, and meta descriptions, but often these types of other important Google feature snippets get left out and can actually hurt your search results or the quality of your search results in Google. So microdata, schema.org, and open graph are all methods that you can research and read about. But in general, some examples, product schema is really important on e-commerce sites. These microdata features show what the product details are, including the price and some of the features, and that helps you get a rich result in Google for the products that you sell. Open Graph is a snippet that helps social media platforms display the right information when things are shared. So you want to make sure that not only product schema, but all of the schemas and microdata options are embedded correctly across your site. And that's something that can be audited and checked by a specialist, and then fixes can be made to make sure that's done correctly. So for technical SEO, typically the process is an audit. Then you find the problems and do platform or code fixes. Some fixes can be done in configuration in a platform. Some need code or engineering changes. QA the fixes before they launch, and then monitor the search engine ranking results page for updates. Here's an example of code. This is some of the microdata and schema.org for product. So it just shows how the price is displayed. So we have to look at page elements. We have to use tools to uncover which types of snippets are missing on which pages. And Google and other tools exist to actually find all of this fairly quickly within a browser. In terms of results, it can help increase your overall site impressions because you will potentially rank for more words for products. And for the sitemap inclusions, it will help you rank for more keywords that maybe were not crawled previously on pages that were not in your sitemap. It will help you increase the number of pages ranking. So the sitemap fix especially will help you increase the number of pages that are indexed in Google in case Google couldn't find them previously from crawling. And then lastly, it can help you increase your click-through rate due to features. If you're using product snippets correctly, organizational snippets, other types of microdata, or open graph, it can actually also help your results be more appealing to click in Google. So in thinking forward, e-commerce is a really important space for SEO because SEO is a competitive landscape and it drives a lot of revenue for e-commerce brands. Currently, most e-commerce platforms only provide SEO functionality for a core set of cases. So we find that often more advanced, though really fundamental SEO settings do require customization and code enhancement. In the future, we think that we'll see e-commerce platforms with much more sophisticated SEO configuration settings that are tightly integrated with the site structure and setup, so they can be automated and easily set up by a business manager. But for now, a hybrid approach is needed with some hands-on custom approach, some audits, checking that things are set up correctly, checking that your SEO settings map to how your site is structured, and working on some automated settings so that things like page titles and meta descriptions can be auto-populated. So that is my presentation on 5 mistakes for e-commerce with SEO. Again, I'm Rigel Cable from Astound Commerce, and thank you so much, State of Search, and thank you for listening today.